Hey, Coach. I'm so happy you found us. Make sure you subscribe down below, hit the bell up above, leave some comments. We'll always respond to those. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. If you're looking for resources, if you're looking to become a better basketball coach, if you're looking for that one-stop shop, that roadmap, teachhoops.com down below is the answer for you. Have a great day.
All right, welcome. Coach Moore, how long is it? It's been a while since we've been on together. How long has it been? Was it COVID?
I know we were on once during like pretty early in COVID. I'm not sure if
I had an office. I think I had where a bunch of coaches got together
yeah,
early.
I literally still talk to somebody on the weekly from that I just met on one of your things, and we don't even always talk basketball. He's a big North Carolina football guy, so I asked him if they're ever going to play defense. But I met some good people off of here, that's for sure.
I know. I'll leave it. I'll make sure I put. Coach loves to be contacted too, so I'll make sure I put
Absolutely.
I'll put the his contact information down below. But so what are we talking about tonight?
So 5-on-5 ways we can scrimmage, improve practice, learning different things that we can do besides just roll out the ball, say let's play for 20 minutes. What are some different ways we can work on improving in practice?
Yeah. So how did this all come about?
Really, I know it's something that I've struggled with a little bit. Um, I talked to some Division 1 coaches, different people, and I was like, really, that's it? Like, that's what you guys do? I mean, I started doing research, looking up some different things. I stole some ideas from some guys that I really like. But I just put, 5-10 hours into it this summer of like, what are some different ways we could practice 5-on-5 and really get maybe some of our game situations more natural, different ways that we could take over some create that learning environment for our players where, like, hey, there's 30 seconds left in the half, let's get a good shot here, and not
Right. And
just
they don't necessarily understand what a good shot is all the time.
yeah. Yeah, that's you're playing in a Thanksgiving tournament and you shoot the ball with like 12 seconds left to go and give up your 1 point lead, and maybe we've worked on it before, just something simple like that.
And it's hard because it's hard from a percentage of practice how much you should spend on that. Like you're talking about with the situation stuff too. Um, but I think the 5-on-5 stuff should be a higher percentage as long as it's a structured thing. What do you think about that?
I'm opening up more and more to playing 5-on-5. I think you have to be creative with it. Like most of my teams have not it's not been a real big challenge for the second five. Like, do you mix them up? Do you get two equal teams, different things like that? But
What's your
we've
theory on that? What's your theory on two equal teams versus the top five versus the next five?
we're gonna go more with my top five versus the other ones. But I do, earlier in the season or like certain days, we'll break it up even. We're probably, you know, I would say probably 70% of the time trying to get our top guys minutes
Yeah.
together.
So here's my theory with this. Early in the season, I'll split them evenly more when I'm trying to figure out the nuances of the team. And then I think you're right. I'm about 80-20, 70-30. Once, like, let's say we play on Friday and we don't have anything that week. Monday, I might split them evenly just so we can work on some more competitive things. Um, but as it gets closer to game time or show time or whatever, um, I'm putting that top five, top six together just so they can get reps. But when you start doing the math on it, like, depending on how much you sub, how often are those exact five together? That's where, changing subbing, doing that kind of stuff can help a little bit in practice, I think.
Well, that's probably where it's easier for me. I'm not a real deep guy. I'm not playing a lot of guys on the
How many do you play normally?
um we've had a lot of teams where six guys are getting a
Yeah.
majority of the minutes. We're the smallest school in our conference. There's usually a pretty big drop off after six. It's we've I tripled the size of the school, but you also triple the size of your opponents when I switched
Yeah, you
jobs last
do.
time.
You do. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone. I mean, I've had one team that was like my last state tournament team was five. Like I had five hoopers and 6, 7 were okay. But before that, and we had a slower pace down with that team. I would say my average over the 30 years is probably 7-8. Um, well, most of my state championships have come from players 6 through 9. Someone steps in, someone
Yeah.
steps up, you know.
It's all I always think I'm gonna have a lot, and then it's like they're like, well, I don't know, but there's always we've been pretty lucky to find some good rotational guys. I've kind of changed towards you got to be able to score to play more than I used to be. I've 18 or 17, 18 season. I had a kid. I think he's just finishing up his college football career at North Dakota State now. Awesome athlete. He could not score at all on offense, but he could keep them from scoring. And now it's like I really don't want to play kids like that unless I want it to be small amount of minutes. And we're real big on points per possession. Like, can you get that up there for us? So I guess if they could keep it up, if we can score with them on the court, we'd love to go a little bit deeper.
Right. And part of it's reading the analytics now where you can kind of tell the groupings too. Like, I'm hoping to play 9 or 10 this year on a regular basis, and just I'm gonna come at you. Basically, I'm hoping. Next year, I think I'm going to be down to 6 or 7 again, depending. Who knows? Develops. But yeah, I mean, I like throwing bodies at you. I do. If they're all, I do. I just think it causes because we're gonna pull away in that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely teams we play like that. It's a major disadvantage of they can roll 10, 12 guys at you. And we've had some teams, I've had some games where guys are basically, can't get up off the floor after the game. And, we play in Illinois, you play 31 games in the regular season
That's
now.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
play 24, and some years we only play 22, but it's like, yeah, wow. How do you get? First of all, here's the issue I have. Even with 24, so we start the middle of November, tournament starts the beginning of March. I still have a hard enough time with those amount of weeks to get like I don't want to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I want a couple days prep before I play you, so that you don't have a lot of prep.
So in 1920, which is my last full season of coaching, we played
2020. Said 1920.
Oh yeah, no, the night 2019.
1920. You look really
I'm not
young.
that
bro.
old.
Yeah.
We played 18 of our 33 games without a practice to prep. So like you've got to be good at what you do,
right.
Be a little bit unique. Your scouts have got to be pretty basic. And we played in 3 tournaments. You play almost every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. It's great when things are going good. Like, we were 30-3 that year. It was pretty easy to roll through, I wouldn't say easy, but it was rolling pretty good. Right. I wouldn't want to be on a 10-game losing streak and play 6 games in 2 weeks.
But I mean, from a coaching teaching standpoint, that's just hard. Like, I feel like I'm giving you a test and you're not ready for the test.
No, that's part of why, I've taken a couple of years off here. I have 2 little kids, and it was just, I couldn't get enough time to do everything quite the way I wanted to and be a good dad at home. And it's like, I've done this for 20 years. Let's take a couple of years off.
I know. And it's crazy. Like, so now, so I have a senior in high school who doesn't even know, half time I don't even see her. And then the second time I have a sophomore in college. So it's like, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how. I mean, my wife, that's how I did it. I don't know how I did it. Like, oh my God. It's like, and I coached my son through 6th through 8th grade during our season. Like, so on weekends and nights after my practice, I went to his I don't know how I did that.
You got to be good at delegating.
Yes. I have gotten really good at that in my program. Like, I was talking to our head football coach yesterday, and I said, I'm ready for the first day of tryouts. He goes, what do you mean? I go, I haven't done anything other than that. Like, I have my JV coach and my varsity assistant. I do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Get the buses, do this, do this. Because eventually, hopefully, one of them will get my job. Hopefully, but I'm just trying to I mean, I just like, no, I'm coming. I'm going to coach. I'm going to be like Bo Ryan at the end of his career, all those guys. I'm going to show up. I'm going to coach the games. I'm going to coach practice. You guys do all that other stuff. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to worry about where the yellow bus is anymore. Don't want to worry about it. I haven't been on a yellow bus 15 years, 17 years. I refuse. We take coaches everywhere. I refuse to get on a yellow bus. I couldn't on a yellow bus.
That's with a couple of years off here. That's one thing I do not miss.
And here's my rationale with so we fundraise and do all that kind of stuff. But I said, I'm not stepping on. It's a Tuesday night and we're coming back and it's an hour and 20-minute thing. I want the kids to have, first of all, comfortable. Second of all, I want overhead lights. So if they want to do some work, they can. Do they? Probably not. But we've had some really good students. And I said, I'm getting too old to sit in that. Like, I remember my first season, we drove to a suburb of Milwaukee and we couldn't get the window wouldn't go up. It's like freaking middle of January in Wisconsin. I go, I'm not doing this. Like, no,
that's the one benefit of being in the suburbs of Chicago. It takes 45 minutes to get there and 20 minutes to get home. Like, we're pretty close all the time. You know, you might have some traffic on the way there, but the way home is.
And what's your longest stretch?
Oh, in our conference, like we play a team by O'Hare that it's just traffic. Like,
it's traffic. It's not distance. Yeah. It's traffic.
45 minutes to get there, 25 minutes to get back. Like, you know, we're in DuPage County. There's, you know, tons of teams. We don't even travel west hardly at all to play like the Napervilles and Auroras. But it's, you know, all the schools are pretty close by. And I mean,
well, we were down in Chicago. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? My brother just got a place in Michigan Avenue and on the Tribune Tower. So we go down there once every couple months. And we stopped at IKEA. First of all, Schaumburg is crazy. Like, oh my God. Like, there's no recession in Schaumburg.
That's true.
I'm just telling you, there's no recession. There's no inflation at 7.5% in Schaumburg, Illinois. I'm telling you, it's a suburb of Chicago. But then it's not bad. Like, getting in, it's not. I mean, I can make it to Chicago in 2:20 from Madison.
They're moving. If the Bears move to Arlington, I'm going to be mad because I can be downtown in 25 minutes to the Bears stadium. I mean, not on a game day. It's going to take longer, but it's going to be a disaster trying to go up there.
And which way is Arlington? Is that east?
It's like straight west of O'Hare, so it'd be north of me, but it's just being.
Will it mess? It won't mess with O'Hare's traffic, will it?
No, there's no. And O'Hare it's never good around there whatsoever.
That's the worst. That's the worst stretch.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, it's as long as I can get there and go to some Cub games, I'll be happy. All right, so let's talk. So give me some of your golden nuggets. Give me some stuff you kind of dove into on this scrimmaging stuff.
You know, one of my first ones that I really liked, and we did it in a lot of different drills, was not checking the ball up top. So, like, if we were, you know, even if we're going 5-on-5 on offense, we'll still do it. We're not 100% of the time, but starting on a sideline out of bounds play, starting baseline out of bounds, the defense can throw it to whoever they want to on offense. Coach can throw it. You know, we run a lot of flow stuff, kind of figure it out of that. But we'll do that not only in 5-on-5, but in our 3-on-3 small-sided games. We do a lot of advantage, disadvantage stuff. So we'll practice 4 offense versus 3 defense. Defense starts the ball, throw it to whoever you want. Kind of figure it out, read the court. But we also want to do some of that in our 5-on-5. We'll even do things like when we're doing.
What have you seen from doing that?
Just really making the kids think outside of like just checking the ball and running some play from some random spot, giving them a new spot on the court where they have to figure that out. And it's a simple change, but it's like we're going to play a team on Tuesday that's going to pin us to the sideline. Well, I don't want to start all my reps from the dead center of the court. I want to get some different things, but even things like on a day where we're kind of slowed down and going through some game prep stuff, run our offensive play, and then we'll immediately run an out of bounds play where the kids have to actually think, do some different things, like just not going through the robotic repetition of, okay, check it back up top, point guard, run up there, do that.
Right. What's your feeling on out of bounds plays? How many? What's your magic number on that? I'm kind of toying with that this year.
We don't run a lot. We have a couple that we can really read. Like we have one that we run over 50% of the time where it's really about 5 different options. And if you're going to take away a shooter, somebody's going to slip to the basket.
Really?
And we'll try to run that quite a bit. I've come up with a couple of counters off of that. We call it NBA because we watched an NBA team run it, and I was like, I love that spacing.
What's it? What kind of set is it out of?
So we'll put 3 guys up high by the free throw line, 2 shooters. Hopefully we have 5 shooters, but 2 shooters and our best screener or big man, and then a shooter in the opposite corner. But notice this is always better when you have 4 shooters. Yeah. But if I had another bad shooter, hopefully I'm not playing him, but if I had to, I'd put him in the corner. And then
you have a shooter throwing it in?
Hopefully.
Okay.
But then the best shooter runs off a double screen, or he can curl the first guy and the second screener runs off of that. But then we've got a couple other actions we'll run out of that. And if you come up high to kind of shade that shooter, he's going right to the basket. So it's kind of one of those pick your poison. If you're going to sit back, we're going to get a screen on you. If you're going to get up and try to take that away, we're going to go to the basket on you.
Does it work against zone?
We did not see a lot of zone baseline inbounds plays, but I've never really found anything that, like, I don't have anything great against zone, which is one of the reasons why I'm not opposed to running zone baseline out of bounds.
I know. I think a lot of people do now, more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just think it's hard to get good looks. And that's why, yeah, anyway, that's why I asked do you have a good one? Did you have one that you used against that? I'd be intrigued. But
yeah. Play 5 guys that can shoot. And
spread it out
and go to a spot where you're open.
Like that
and when they close out on you, pass it to the other guy. I know that people have some great ones, but it's like, how many times can you run that before at our level?
And the problem is scouting has gotten so, like, it's not like the old days where I could run my out of bounds play for a season. And it's like, I just think you got to get, I'm pivoted on this. I think you got to get good at reads, like you said. Like, here's our out of bounds play, or our 2 out of bounds plays, and let's talk about how we're going to read out of these. How are we going to read out of these? How can we score? Because I think that's part of the problem is, there's 80 billion out of bounds plays. Like, just go on Twitter. You can, like, there's, I think, Ito Singer or something. He puts an out of bounds play every day. Like, how many out of bounds plays do you need? Telling you.
Yeah, that man is dedicated to baseline out of bounds plays more than anybody I've ever seen.
Right, but the problem is, first of all, how many points is it? How much time do you have to practice it? I get what he's doing. He's trying to be the out of bounds play guy. Get it? I totally get it from a selling marketing standpoint, but it's like, I can only take so many of these. It's like, it's over. I need one good one.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at, of like, we really like this. We can run it and run it and run it. And then now, like, we can come up like with a counter. We can do something like, we'll throw it to the original screener and then kind of do that action with some other people. But I think that's all of offense. Of like, when you're a really good coach, you can take something like horns. We do this all the time. And it's really easy, has great spacing, and then we can do a ton of stuff out of it. Like, I think that's some of the biggest problem. Everybody's going to 4 and 5 out. It's really squared. It's hard to run because you don't know where everybody's going to be at all the time. Like, do something really simple, teach a couple of reads. Now all of a sudden you have like 13 plays out of this one
Right.
thing that are like words. Like, that's what we talk, like we just have a couple of words that completely change it.
And
And
what do you run offensively again? I forgot.
I mean, we run a lot of the, like we ran the Villanova kind of flow, like just pass, cut. We're gonna spin the ball and just beat a closeout. You know, we'll do some ball screen stuff, but like some years we're more than others. We play teams where you don't want any ball screens because they will just double it. You know, we're going to the
Right.
city. I'm not bringing, a ball screen to a kid and getting him a double team. But we're big drive and kick. I've been a dribble drive guy since I found somebody way before even Cal was doing it. I'm like, I really like this. Just a ton of kick out threes
And do you always put somebody opposite the low block in the dribble drive?
If we have a post player, we will. But I think the biggest mistake people do is playing a guy that's not a post. Like, if we'll spread you out, we'll do different things. But if I've had really good post players, we've kind of been opposite of everybody else. I haven't had great point guards. I've had Division I post players.
Okay.
But like, yeah, we're gonna if I've got one, we're gonna hammer you down there. We're gonna do some different stuff. But I had a point
We're
guard
thinking of bringing that guy up some and stacking up high a little bit to leave some space on the wings for the drive. I'm just wondering why no one's done that. Dribble drive.
If I was coaching this year, the offense I would absolutely be doing, going old school here, but everybody's starting to do it again, is the Princeton point. And I wouldn't run, that's the only Princeton thing I would ever run. But getting our 5 off the block and popping them out a little bit. And then I think the new action that's all over college basketball, if you're watching, it's the get action, where I'm running off of anybody I pass it to. So if I pass it to that 5-man that popped up, I'm going to sprint off of him, and then we can just play randomly off that. I mean,
And what do you mean by
run?
What do you mean by run off him?
So if he pops up, and I think they call it the overcut. So if I throw it to the 5-man, I can cut over, or I can screen away or basket cut. But I mean, everybody's running some version of that in college basketball right now. But I think it fits we're kind of like getting oversaturated in the ball screen thing.
Yeah.
People are finally starting to realize the 45 cut is like the secondary break. It looks great in spring and then doesn't work whenever you get into the game.
Right.
Like, that's one thing people are always like, yeah, we're going to do 45 cut. I'm like, great. But like, we don't ever see anybody score because they did a 45 cut.
Right. Nobody does. It's like backdoor cuts. It's like they're good cuts and they're wonderful cuts, but there's a reason when you're watching a game and you see one, you go, oh, because you don't score off them that much.
I'm not real big on, like, we want to shoot the ball really well. And our big belief is that means the guy is down ready to shoot. So we don't want a lot of movement off the ball. When you rotate to help, we're not necessarily setting a pin screen. We're doing something else. We're ready to shoot, not worried about cutting through or respacing because some guy cut through. And I mean, we obviously move. We don't just stand there and do stuff, but we want to get an advantage, attack it. Defense has to make a play. We're going to find an open shooter. And like, I've had teams that can't shoot, and like, that's the problem.
Shooting solves a lot of ills. I'm just telling you, it really does. For people listening, it's like, I don't know. If you can shoot, you can solve a lot of your problems. If
you want to know what to work on, 7th, 8th grade, freshman, sophomore, it's shooting. It's not your offense. It's not your 1-2-2 press. No, like, you're not going to do anything like that's going to carry over other than really shooting and scoring.
Yeah, and reading. I think reading a little bit. Like, I think that's an undertaught skill, and I did that with my sons. I mean, I think the ability to read a situation, the good ones can do it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to say it's an it thing, but they know. Like,
that's why we play so much 5-on-4, 4-on-3. anything advantage, disadvantage. We do drills where we just call it 2 to the ball, and whoever's on defense, you're just constantly running 2 guys to the ball. Like that's what our practice has gone to. Of 2-on-1 situations of shooting, like you throw me the ball, did you close out on me? If not, I'm going to shoot it. If you did, I'm passing it. That guy
Did
shoots.
you work a lot on when you ran dribble on the dribble and the kick? Because I think that and behind you is always open, but that's a hard pivot.
We call that crackback. It's always open.
Always
Love
open.
that. Like that's my transition break. Make them stop the point guard. If they stop it, jump stop, look for the trailer. We just created our secondary break.
So how do you drill? How do you drill the drive and kick back behind you?
So I would say my best drill for that is 3-on-2. And we just tell them the only way to score is a layup or a kick out 3.
Okay.
And you've got to play off of 2 feet. You can jump to make a pass. You can't jump to find a pass. Really big on that one. The old school drills of like, I start on the left and I drive and jump stop and kick out. We've gotten rid of that because there's no decision tied to it. So we want to have
2 defenders, and where you put 2 guys on a wing and the ball up top, and you just go.
Yeah,
3-on-2.
And defense starts with the ball. They can throw it to anybody they want.
And I like that.
We don't.
That's the skill. It's open. It's always, if you follow someone, like I say, follow the semi. It's like follow the person driving through driving through the crowd to get to the concession stand. If you get behind that one guy or that gal, you'll make it all the way. It's the same thing. Follow them and you're going to be open. I'm telling you.
Here's what's shaped my offensive philosophy more than anything. And I can't find this article, but I swear it was in the Xavier newsletter, the old one that was out forever. And they statted like every 3-pointer in college basketball one year. Kick out threes were 60%, and it was the only 3 above 30%. And that's about where we are at every year. Everything we shoot for a 3 besides a kick out is below 30, and we shoot a kick out.
You know why? Because you're open, your feet are set, you're not having the weird closeout. Like it's like I think this is a discussion to have with your players too. It's like, so what do you do when you get in there? If you don't have a good shot, you should kick it out. Like that's the question: is it the floater? Do you take the shot at that point?
90% layups is what we're talking about. Like if you can make it 90% of the time, it's a great shot. If it's missed like that float, we don't shoot floaters. We shot like 60 mid-range shots in 33 games, and it's just because we had shooters, we had guys that could get to the rim, and like every time you took a shot like that, you were taking a shot away from somebody else. I'm talking like, do you want that? Like, do you want to be the guy wide open? Well, and I think out of those 60, most were at the end of a quarter, like versus a really good team. Like, it's how many, like we'll even chart like how many kick out threes can we get in a game? Because like not like some of these teams are going to shoot a lot of threes. I'm sorry, but if you have a kid that's, let's say, a 35% shooter in high school, his transition 3 is going to be really low. Now, I think in college they said it was like 15% off the dribble. Now, I've had maybe one kid that I thought was better shooter off the dribble.
Yeah, I've had maybe a handful, yeah.
And that goes into our scouting too. What are we going to do? Well, how do we take away kick out threes? Like that's what we've got to stop.
Yeah, I do like that. I'm gonna implement that. I like that because I think that gives you options. Yeah, I just think it's a hard pivot. It's a hard jump stop. It's a skill you gotta drill. Not drill, but you got to work on it. Like they got to get used to what it feels like to do that, I think.
And that's one of the things, like we've kind of gone to the mode now where instead of like starting off practice with that footwork, the pivot, whatever, we'll be like, hey guys, we really struggle with this today. That block 1 on air drill, we're going to finish practice with that today. Like we're gonna come back.
Yeah, I've changed that. I think the first drill, this is a golden nugget. I think the first drill you do at practice should be full court and should be high energy. Because I think you got, at least for boys, I got to rev them. I got to rev them early. Like they can't be cerebral at that point. They got to
what's your 8 a.m. Saturday drill?
We'll usually do our full court shooting, and you got to make, 103 minutes where they're just going three. There's 3 lines, and they just go. I just getting them running and going.
Because that's
they won't.
I have certain drills I only do on like Saturday morning where like it's gonna be a brutal start.
Oh, it's gonna be brutal.
Sometimes I think a couple of times I've started the drill and told my assistants to watch them and went into my office and did something so I didn't have to see that first.
Yeah,
drill.
it's like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or the day before winter break. It's like those are always so brutal. Just brutal. Yeah. They're just brutal. It's like there's nothing to do about it because it's just like they're kids. Like they're just, that's what they are. It's like they're already on vacation and it's like they're thinking about their girlfriend and whatever. It's like, all right, what else, Coach? You got any other golden nuggets on your list?
Oh yeah,
there?
I got a handful of them here.
Okay.
So this is one I found this summer I really liked. You put 60 to 60 on the clock. You can put any score, but like what's a realistic fourth quarter score for you? Put 2.5 minutes on the clock. So we're gonna start it live. When one team gets to 65, we are going to start the clock. So it was 60-60, whatever. They might go on a 5-0 run. They are up 65 to 60. There's 2.5 minutes left on the clock. We're gonna tell coaches like, hey, you've got 1 timeout, I've got 2 timeouts, and trying to create some realistic game situations.
I love that.
Like we can mix some stuff up. Maybe I give one of the teams like, hey, you're playing like this opponent would be, but trying to come into some natural game situations through that. And I stole that from some college guys, and I was like, that's probably a more realistic way to combine things than like, hey, here we got to do this. There's 14 seconds left and we're down 3. Can we get it more natural?
I do like that. And then what's the 67 to 67 one?
So this one, 32 seconds left on the clock. We can create all kinds of different scenarios, but we're going to play a best of 3. So we've got a really short situation here. We're working on really, really late game stuff, but just trying to get, some reps of different things we might see. Like I remember I had my like home run end of game play and we had practiced it, but now we are taking the ball out from 6 feet up the sideline and not the baseline.
I know. It's so hard.
Like just some random stuff. But then like one of my big teaching points when we get to end of game stuff, and this is big, I love this, and I didn't make this up, I stole it from somebody else. For every second on the clock, you have 1 dribble. Like
you do. It's true. It's 100% true. I don't know if you heard it from me, but it's 100% true. To dribble a second.
I swear some kids think it has to like go in before the buzzer goes off.
So I'll always say that's the last thing I say in the timeout. I go, there's 4 seconds left. You got 3 dribbles and it's got to go.
Yep.
Gotta go. You got to go. Like, because it's 100% true. It's a dribble a second. So if you got 2 seconds, you can take 1 dribble and you got to pop. Like, if it's 1 second, you can't. You got to catch it and shoot it.
There's a fine line of how much you want to prep for the end of game stuff. Like I remember watching Illinois a couple of years ago, and Io DeSumo was coming up the sideline, and they were really ready. They thought they were going to foul, which they probably were, but then he shot the ball from like 25 feet behind the 3-point line. I think it just went out of bounds in the game. And, he's like, what's going on? Like they didn't foul. They didn't do this. Like anything, you don't want to overload them too much, but because you can't have like 32 end of game situations.
No, you really can't.
That's
what's the snowball drill?
So snowball, let's see here. We did
it says one way to get points in back-to-back scores on offense.
Yeah, so we're playing, but the only way we're tracking it is if you score back-to-back or you get a kill on defense where it's 3 stops in a row, because we always want to be able to score on either side of the ball. So we come down and get a score. We can't just come down and throw up some crazy shot. I felt like anytime I could get people to like have to really concentrate on getting that second one in a row, we're kind of like getting a realistic, like this
Back to back.
matters.
Yeah. I like that. So you play to like 3 points and the only way you score is back to back?
Yeah, anyway, like you can set these up 3, 5 points. I think almost all of them you can definitely change the rules, how much time you have.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Um, what's the end of game situations? You said race to 10. Are those things you do?
So like like we also didn't want to just work on late game situations. Like I've had several teams that just are miserably starting teams. Like that's one we did of like, we're gonna tip it up, we're gonna play to 10. Like this is kind of our walkthrough here, what we're gonna do. And like, here we're going to scrimmage for 5 minutes. Even if I'm a sophomore or a freshman team, instead of just saying let's go play, let's put something onto this. Who can win that game to 10 and not just play, but like, this is what we do to start. But like, I know a lot of times everybody talks about end of game situations, but we probably don't work enough on like first
I
half
like that.
games. And that's the other one I had on here is you got off to the wonderful start of missing 5 threes in a row.
Right. And you're
You've
down
called
7-0.
Yeah, you've called the timeout. Well, what are you going to do? Because I don't want to be in my game. And that's the first time I've ever talked about that. And it happens. I mean,
Oh, it does. It's just like, oh my God, something happened. Yeah. I
we
know.
shot 40% from three as a team a couple of years ago. And I remember we went 1 for 14 and a half versus a good team. And I swear every one of them hit like the back of the rim or was like halfway down and went out. It's like, we got to find other ways to score.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Attacking the rim or doing other things like that. I like that. I like that.
the
What
other
else you got
one,
on your list?
we are up 18-6. This is a big one, I think. It is not so where it's the first quarter, whatever, early second, we are up 18-6. It is not take whatever shot your parents have
Why
told
you
you you should take, but we are trying to do what we do, continue to get good shots. And we all probably work on being down, but do we work on playing with the lead?
Right. No, I mean, I was just thinking about that the other day. I was talking to one of my coaches. It's like, all right, when we're up 6 with 2 minutes to go, what are we doing? Like, what are we going to do when we're up 15 and a half? Like, how are we going to deal with that kind of, you got to deal with those different types of, you're right. Cause everyone works on down 2 with 37 seconds to go. But how many people work on that? I like that. I love that. I love that twist.
It's like one of my best teams I ever had. We literally trailed every game at halftime, and then when our third quarter scoring was just plus minus was insane. We would outscore them by like 22 in the third quarter every game. Like, I've never seen anything like this team that we had. It was to the point where I heard somebody when we were walking in the locker room say one time, "It's okay, we're a second half team." I'm like, no, I'm not okay with that. I don't want to be that
Well, I
guy.
don't want to be the second half team. I
But
know.
it
I love
was
that.
we just, and people were like, "Oh, you must have given a great halftime speech." And it was like, I literally said the same things I said before the game of like, here's 3 things we need to do.
Let's
It
do
was just,
these. Yeah. That's funny.
and we
That's
talked
so
about
true.
this one earlier, but the end of half, 30 seconds left. Like, we're not going to do that one all the time, but that's probably, good one to throw in there some early in the season. So you're not shooting the ball, 12 seconds left. What's your philosophy there? What are you trying to do? We play quarters. I know you play halves, but we're not doing 2 for 1. We don't have a shot clock. I don't know if that's, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it will be around by the time I get out. I don't think it's like, I think it's coming, but I don't know. That's a whole different podcast. Trust me. The shot clock. I think a lot of people want it and they don't know why they want it.
I'm crazy. I want 24-second shot clock in high school and college. Let's if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's go to the NBA pace. Like, I've kind of changed the offense.
Well, the issue we were going to do in Wisconsin was they were going to only do it for varsity. That was my big pushback. I go, what are you talking about? Like, so I'm only going to give tests senior year in high school, and I'm not going to give them tests when they're freshmen, sophomore. Like, what are you doing? Like, if we're going to do it, let's do it. That's fine. But then do it. Like, you didn't put the 3-point line in for part of the teams.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't make sense. And that's what some of the states around are doing too. It's like, either do it or don't do it. That's fine. But if you're going to do it, do it.
In our area, in the suburbs, they play 7-minute quarters for sophomores and freshmen. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And no one else in the state does it, but this kind of northern Illinois area. I'm like, why would we? They're like, well, a game gets over earlier. I'm like, I don't know, start 5 minutes.
I know they changed our warm up from 20 minutes to 15. I go, okay, why? Like that? So do you think that really matters that much? You don't want the kids to be loose? Like, that makes no sense to me at all. But I don't know. All right, one last one here, Coach.
Oh, this is one I liked. Down one, we are shooting a 1-and-1 with 1 minute on the clock. So we could have a lot of stuff happen here. We're up at the line. We could miss it, and we're down one. We could make both. We're up one. It could be tied, and we're going to play it live off of that. So shooting a 1-and-1 with 1 minute left on the clock. I mean, give each guy a timeout or something like that. Here we go. We're creating some end-of-game situations.
Do you officiate that?
I do. I'm not too crazy on
I'm not either.
officiating. Like, probably let more go. Try to footwork's probably more than anything, because I feel like if I don't kind of get all over that, all of a sudden we have like 7 travels because they've done it all the time and I didn't stop it. But contact, you probably not. We're not calling a lot of touch stuff in practice.
It's not touchy. It's like, I don't want anybody to get hurt, and it's like, quit fouling because it's going to put them in the bonus. All right, Coach. Till next time, we're going to get together next time. What did I say next time? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about scouting next time. I think we should.
That'll be great.
That will be great. All right. Till next time, Coach. Bye.
Hey, Coach, so happy you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and like. Go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.